Who was Berlioz? One of the most significant composers of the Romantic era was Hector Berlioz. He was born in 1803 in a small town in the south of France, where his father was the doctor. His family wanted him to be a doctor too, and sent him to Paris to study medicine. But he had already developed a passion for music, which was hugely increased when he had his first experience of opera in Paris, and later when he discovered Beethoven's music. So against the wishes of his family, he decided to be a composer. He had a hard time gaining the skills and experience he needed while singing in a second-rate theatre chorus and taking on other musical jobs to earn his keep. Eventually, at his fourth attempt, he won a prize for young composers, which gave him a year in Italy to continue his studies and write new works. By that time, he had already written one of his most famous works, the Symphonie Fantastique, which you're going to hear more about. The symphony was unusual because it had a program explaining what it was about. A young musician, can you guess who that might be, falls in love with a beautiful girl, but she rejects him. He dreams of killing her, and then of his own execution. It's a nightmare. Finally, he sees his loved one dancing among a group of witches. When he wrote it, Berlioz was actually in love with an Irish actress called Harriet Smithson. And although she was much more famous than he was at the time, he did eventually persuade her to marry him. But the marriage did not turn out happily, and Berlioz continued to struggle to make a living for much of his life. His main income came from working as a music critic, which meant that he had to spend a lot of time listening to other people's music rather than creating his own. Why is Berlioz special? Firstly, he didn't play the piano, just the flute and the guitar. So unlike most other composers at that time, he didn't write music first for the piano and then arrange it for the full orchestra. Right from the start, he conceived it in orchestral terms and heard it in his mind played by all the different instruments. So he took trouble to find out from his friends, the professional players in the Paris orchestras, just what each instrument could do and what effects it could produce. He even wrote a book about instruments and orchestration, which is still relevant today. Secondly, Berlioz's music is about telling stories. He was passionate about Shakespeare. His first experience of Shakespeare was seeing Harriet starring in both Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. Several of his works are based on stories from Shakespeare. He also adored the Latin poet Virgil. One of his greatest works, the opera The Trojans, is based on Virgil's Aeneid, but Berlioz manages to inject elements of Shakespeare as well. And thirdly, Berlioz was a truly cosmopolitan figure. His travels took him to cities all over Europe, as far as Russia and 5 times to London, to promote and conduct his music. He was one of the top conductors of his time. He knew virtually all the leading musicians and artists of the era, and because he was a wonderful writer, whose works include a brilliant volume of memoirs, we know a great deal about him, about what made him tick, and about the musical world in which he moved. Berlioz is a highly engaging and remarkably modern figure. He made his own way in life. He was highly resourceful as composer, conductor, writer, impresario, and entrepreneur. He set himself challenging goals and was committed to the highest standards in every aspect of music. He gave us amazing insights into the life of a 19th century musician. And above all, he created music which has stood the test of time and can sound astonishingly modern even today. He devoted his life to expressing human feelings and emotions through the stories that he told through his music. Stories which he believed words alone could not tell properly.